the gate is there and he sees the people checking all the papers and he's thinking, how am I going to get in there?
I want to welcome you back again for another story answering the question, is God active? Today, I'm here with my father again, and he is continuing the story of my grandfather's journey.
Yes, so, Dad had gotten across the river, and now he has to head into this whole harbor, and it's very protected, and it has, gates and everything on all the roads, so whatever. So he's heading in there. He doesn't know what to do, but he's got to head in there somehow to get out of some boat because they're going to back to Germany. So as he's going there, he said there's other soldiers coming back, and they're saying to him, don't bother. He said, you can't get in. You don't have the papers, you won't get in there. Because there was other guys trying this thing too, eh? So he said he didn't pay any attention to them. He just kept going because he had this kind of a goal now to get in there. So as he's getting closer, he's trying to figure out if he kind of stops on the side of the road and the gate is there and he sees the people checking all the papers and it's pretty concise. And he's thinking, how am I going to get in there? How do I get in there? Because they weren't allowing just the soldiers in there. Eh? So this was mostly to bring the women and children and the wounded and all of this whole flotilla of boats that were heading back were trying to bring all these people to Germany. So he's standing there and all of a sudden he sees coming, I think it was 3 men, and they were, some corporals and some brass, some sort of officers. And he says he sees them and they're walking towards the gate. And as they come by him, he salutes them. And he said they don't react or anything. So he just went in right beside them and walked with them. And they said just they're busy talking. They don't even seem to worry about him. Eh? So he's just walking with them. And as they get to the gate, they're well known there. Obviously, they go in and out of there quite often. So they just opened the gates there and he went right in with them. Eh? So he thought, wow, I'm in here now. So he realized the Lord's done something, it's got him through. And so now he goes and he's going around and there's other soldiers that are in there and they're trying to figure out a way out because they're not letting you on the big ships. And so there's ships anchored out in the harbor, eh? And so he thought, well, they went and there's some fisher boats there in that harbor too, eh? So they found a fisherman there that said, I'll take you out to these boats. And we'll see if we can get you, a ride back to Germany with these boats that are just waiting and they're going to sail. Because they've thrown anchor out, but they're not on the harbor itself. You're out of the harbor, right in the, deeper water. So he gets there and he says, quite a group. He said, I don't know if it was like 50 people, soldiers there. So they're all together and he goes there and they pull up to the boat. They're in a fishing boat, right? They're in a fishing boat, yeah. So they pull up to these big boats, like he said, they have many stories, they hold a lot of people. And so they pull up to this big boat, he said, and the guy's yelling up there, can you take some of these soldiers with you? And the captain's looking down from one of those bridges there and he's saying, well, okay, yeah. He said, okay. So they send a basket down. He said to send a basket. And the guys get in this basket, eh? And then up it goes. And so this is just going on. And Dad's quite excited. He'd been taught, from home, you don't push your way, eh? So he would just let the other guys go ahead. And so then he said it went up and it was just him and another guy in that boat left. And then he said, and he's just waiting for that basket to come down. He looks up there and that basket doesn't come down. And, so the guy from the fishing boat is I still got 2 guys here. Could you take them? And the guy on the boat said, no, I'm not taking any more. That's it. No more getting on this boat. And he said his heart just sunk. Oh, thought, oh man, it's my one chance of getting there. It's so close. I mean, all these other guys got pulled up and him and this other guy still in there. And they would have been able to get up, this time, eh? So he said it was just such a dark moment for him, eh? All of a sudden to face that, no, he can't go away. Everybody else is gone, and he's stuck. And, but what he didn't know is that this boat was called the Wilhelm Gustloff. It was a boat that was taking, all these people back to Germany, and which he wanted to get on. But it turns out that it was the boat that was involved in the worst a disaster, marine disaster in history. That boat was sunk when it went out that night. It was sunk by a Russian U-boat. I think it was called the S-13, because the Russians were waiting outside the harbor and different things. Anyway, so when that boat went out that night, it got sunk. On board, there was 10,000 people. And
like over 6 times the Titanic.
6 times as many people died as died on the Titanic in that. It's the worst loss of life ever in the naval history. And only 500 people survived of all those people that they were able to save. But so what seemed to be to Dad the worst possible dark moment at that moment was different.
There's another text in the Bible, and it comes out of Psalms. Psalms 91, and we're going to start in verse 2. Now, there's a few verses here. This is what the Bible says. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust him. For he will rescue you from every trap and protect you from deadly disease. He will cover you with his feathers and will shelter you under his wings. His faithful promises are your armor and protection. Do not be afraid of the terrors of night, or the arrow that flies in the day. Do not dread the disease that stalks in darkness, nor the disaster that strikes at midday. Verse 7. Though 1,000 fall at your right side, outside your side, though 10,000 are dying around you, these evils will not touch you. As we've listened to this story, my grandfather never shared these stories. He never shared these stories with anyone really, other than us as kids growing up with his own children and us as a small group, because he never understood why God protected him. He didn't understand why he didn't perish, but he did choose to have God and follow God. And so we as a family have chosen to hang on to these stories and look and say, okay, we can trust God. Now, you may have had people in your family, in your life, that have passed away, and we have too, and my grandfather has passed away. But God wants to be a part of your life. He wants you to trust him. That when it might seem like the worst and the greatest disaster and depression and you're in darkness and you don't understand it, but God is right in the middle of it when you make him your refuge and strength. Invite him in. And then join us next week as we continue answering the question, is God active? Thanks for watching today. If this episode has helped you see God in a new view and you're wondering where to start, I want to suggest reading Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7. These 3 chapters will transform your life. And if they do, please share it with a friend and know that we are praying for you.